kind of funny, that sound, I guess, kind of was a natural sign that we need to go ahead and begin. I was going to maybe give a couple more minutes just to let folks straggle all in, but we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. Well, welcome, everybody, to Inventanooga 2021. Can we get a round of applause? Thank y'all so much. My name is Mr. Carrasco. I teach here at the STEM school. I teach STEM 4, so all of these are my kiddos coming up here to present in front of you guys their neat inventions and business ideas. This is my first year at the STEM school. I've been in Hamilton County for a few years now, teaching English, but then this year I decided to switch it up a little bit, and so now I teach STEM 4, which is the entrepreneurship class here, and then next semester I'll be teaching government and economics, so your seniors are not done with me. But I've really enjoyed my time here. I have enjoyed this class as my inaugural class. For Inventanooga, they have done a phenomenal job. I told them all yesterday we had the preliminary rounds where all of the seniors presented, and the standard that they set for me my first year is extremely high. So for any juniors out there coming up for next year, better be prepared because that bar is pretty high. You have a class ahead of you that was phenomenal. So I cannot express that enough. I'm very proud of every single group that's coming up here. Every student that is participating in this competition has put their blood, sweat, and tears, some of them, into these projects, and me alongside with them, because I know some of these groups I didn't know if we was going to make it, but we made it. I have nothing but joy to be able to present, for them to be able to present what they have been working on this semester. So with that being said, we've got a lovely student host today, Jocelyn Bockham. If y'all could give her a round of applause. She's gonna be your MC today. She's gonna be leading the show. She is phenomenal. I have no doubt she's gonna knock it out the park. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Inventanooga 2021. We are so glad that you have chosen to be here with us this afternoon. Coming up, you will see several presentations from groups at the STEM School of Chattanooga. They include their take on a worldwide issue. Throughout the semester, each senior has grouped themselves. They have identified a problem, invented a solution, prototyped it, tested it, and then once they've done that, built a business around it and pitch it. Trust me, you'll be wowed. Hold on to your socks because they might just blow off. Before you're introduced to our groups, let me introduce myself and our judges. I'm Jocelyn Bockham, and I'm a junior at STEM School Chattanooga, and I will be your host this afternoon. I would like to begin by thanking our sponsors, Hamilton County Schools, STEM School. We would also like to thank the Global Center for Digital Innovation. And lastly, we would like to give a huge thank you to Junior League of Chattanooga, Public Education Fund, Top Flight, and Project Invent. Thank you to all of our sponsors for making this event possible. Next, I would like to start off with today's first judge, Kirk Burton. Kirk, could you stand up? Mr. Burton is a director of programs for CoLab, located in Chattanooga. He's the founder of Tatloop Solutions, a boutique consulting firm. Mr. Burton has focused on emerging technologies for the military and first responders communities. He serves on the board of the Small Business Technology Council. Next up, we have Libby Stanton. Ms. Stanton is the director of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. She is the director of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Prior to joining UTC full-time in July 2018, Libby was the president and co-owner of Dynamic Displays and Graphics in Chattanooga. Over the course of her 30-year career, Libby has worked in marketing and management roles for companies of all sizes. Libby is actively involved in Chattanooga's entrepreneurial ecosystem. And finally, for our third judge, Jay Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer started his tech career in California, working for Sun Microsystems for 14 years. He co-founded a startup based in Atlanta in 2006 and worked for 3 more Atlanta startups before switching to angel investing. Jay is a board member of the Georgia Tech Business Network and is eager to build the Chattanooga tech ecosystem. We have some pretty amazing judges today. Thank y'all all for coming out, whether you had a busy schedule or not. We really appreciate it. So, let's get started. You know, I've always wanted to be a plant person, but every plant I get sort of kind of dies. Maybe the first group, Cassia, Mason, Maya, and Gresham, will be able to tell us more.
We are Bountiful Oasis, and we present to you the plan.
I want you all to picture something with me for a moment. You're a single parent that scrapes by in part-time jobs, but your annual income is always near the official poverty level. You try your best, but you cannot consistently put nutritious food on the table for your son and his two sisters. Even if you could afford better food, there are no stores nearby that sell fresh produce. You don't own a car, and there's no public transportation in your area, so you often end up buying whatever processed foods you can at the only convenience store within walking distance of your apartment. This situation is far too many Chattanoogan's reality. Most people who live in rural or inner city urban neighborhoods actually live in a food desert, meaning they live in a location where it's difficult to buy affordable or good quality fresh produce. This is a map of Chattanooga, and each one of these red locations you see is one of those food deserts. When looking at this, we realized this was a massive problem, and we asked ourselves, how might we help the residents of Chattanooga's food deserts so they may have access to affordable and good quality fresh produce within their own homes? When looking to our solution, we wanted to create an affordable product that addresses the issues that come from living in food deserts, such as location and lack of resources. We do this by creating an affordable product that can be used anywhere and creates high quality produce ready for consumption. Now, instead of having access to no vegetables at all, our customers can grow a ripe tomato in their very own kitchen.
The product we designed is the plant. The plant is meant to be very easy to use in 4 simple steps. All you have to do is simply put the spike inside our pipe and put the spike into the soil near the base of the plant. This is all you need to do to get moisture. Also grow with you, meaning we've made it so it can continue to supply water to small pots, bigger pots, and even multiple pots using our splitters as well as our smaller spikes in small pots where maybe a 4-inch spike can't fit.
So why is this useful? Well, most of the foods you'll find in food deserts are highly processed or really cooked, which means that the residents of the food deserts are going to have vitamin deficiencies. So if we take, for example, vitamin B9, helps your body convert food into energy. It can't be stored long-term in the body, and it's easily destroyed by heat, which means it needs to be replenished regularly through fresh produce. So for example, fried chicken and chips, which you'll typically find in food deserts, are going to have a low content of vitamin B9, whereas spinach and romaine lettuce, which our plant can grow, will have a higher content of vitamin B9. So we actually tested our product, and it went extremely well. The plant needed care and was wilted over, and then after 12 hours of being hooked up to the watering system and the grow light, it returned to a healthy state.
So, what sets us apart from our competitors? First off, our system has a gravity-fed watering system, a grow light, can use battery power, and is adjustable. We are also affordable at a price point of $30, whereas many of our competitors like Moisten Land and Rainpoint have systems of $50 or above. We also have our humanitarian mission, which makes us the more ethical choice. With our community partners, the Chattanooga Area Food Bank and Bingo's Market, we plan to include information with purchase of where customers can find free or low-priced seeds, soil, pots, and anything else needed. We also plan to donate one system per 10 sold at market. Our unwavering selling price will be $30 per unit, and our current cost of production is $15. However, we plan to lower that to $5 per system with our $20,000 startup cost. So $10,000 of this will go to materials for 400 units, and another $5,000 for 3D printers, which will be able to bring that cost down, and another $5,000 for additional costs.
I'd like to ask for your help in our first few steps of the business to connect us to additional sponsors like food banks that'll help us distribute the donated units. But at the moment, we're looking to distribute through online sites like Amazon and Etsy.
Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically the question was, how would you use this product over time to grow enough produce, because depending on the plants. So basically to answer your question, as Mason mentioned, with its adjustability, our splitters would allow you to have multiple of these spikes hooked up, so you could have a longer trough and grow different kinds of plants. And then because, as we all know, plants take a lot of time to grow, and typically outside you would have a growing season. Because this can be indoors and you can put it anywhere, you would be able to grow plants like consistently over the season. So typically what I would say is in our planning process that Maya mentioned with the pamphlet and reaching out to already established like food banks and communities that have gardens to help have that in-person explanation for people who aren't familiar with it. Basically you would time, like you would start growing one plant for the certain like season, the growing season I guess, but then you would have another one started, so that way when that one is done producing, you would still have another plant ready with produce. Did that explain it?
I actually have two questions. First one is, what is your big cost price? Does it cost $15? What is the majority of it?
So as of right now, the majority, you asked what the majority of the cost was currently. So not what our future plans are, but this one right here. So the majority of the cost is actually this acrylic tube as well as the cap. Sadly, until we start producing these in-house, these drive up the cost by about $10 for both of them. But with the help of the 20K startup and introducing more 3D printing on top of what is already 3D printed, it'll help us lower the cost down from using acrylic and molded plastic to using our own in-house 3D printers.
And the second question, how do you plan to manufacture?
So the question is, how do we plan to manufacture? So the plan right now is by converting everything over to 3D printing, it will help us use more or less one method and keep it simple on our end and the customer's end for basically maintaining the plant. So what this will do is it'll allow us to basically per 3D printer, if we get about 10 3D printers, that will mean our output is about 10 per day. After the math we've done, it'll take about a full day for around 24 hours on the dot to print out a full plant. So basically what will happen is with 10 3D printers, we can output 10 plants a day, and by converting everything over to 3D printing, it'll help us streamline the process so we don't need to outsource as much.
Congrats on the intriguing idea and good cost. How do you plan to market, how people find out about it?
So the question was, how do we plan to market and sell it? And I did mention on the last slide that we're going to have an Amazon and an Etsy, but we were actually considering our starting market being plant aficionados until we have enough sort of resources to begin donating. And of course, we can also use the power of social media. Plants are like a really popular subject of discussion at the moment, so I feel like there's a really big market for this.
So along with that, when we do our donating plan, we will be reaching out to those previous organizations that we had. I'll bring them right back up. So that's the Chattanooga Area Food Bank and Bingos Market. So we do plan to put those donating units through them, as well as also possibly having like a pamphlet or other promotional thing in their house or some area around there. Also with maybe different plant nurseries and other things like such. Partially. So in our costs, the unwavering selling price would be $30. So if our cost of production is $5, that would give us a $25 profit margin per selling point. So that would give us plenty of money to put towards more pots donating to those areas. Yes.
So the biggest change and most recent change we've actually made to the plant is initially we sort of did our light holder here, actually. This is the newest addition to the plant. And the issue with our original one is it was very flimsy and it didn't work very well. It wasn't as adjustable as this one is. So for example, you can't really see it from down there because it's all one color, but there are screws here on the side. And with tolerance adjustments, we can actually, these parts have been designed to where you can continue these center arms here can keep being stacked. So if you wanted to make like a 20-part long chain of these parts for our arm, you can do that. So the biggest challenge is really just making the plant as adjustable as physically possible in what standards we have to follow.
Thank you. 15. Crown full away. Excuse me. Thank you. Crown full away.
Wow, you're telling me you can grow a plant within the comfort of your own home? That's amazing. Next up, we have Eric, Cooper, Aiden, and Corey with their invention to make sustainable changes into your everyday life.
Hello, I'm Cooper Croc, and now there's about 8.3 billion tons of plastic waste that has been created since about the 1950s, and now only 9% of that has ever actually been recycled. while the other 91% has either been incinerated, ended up in landfills, or in the worst case scenario, back into the natural environment. Now I'm just a high school student, so there's not a whole lot of big steps that I can take to really impact this issue, but there are some small things I can take, like recycling daily. Now, I'm on the go a lot as a student, whether going to my classes, the gym, or just hanging out with my friends. That means I'll start to accumulate plastic waste in my car. Now, I went on Amazon a couple months back to see if I could find some sort of product that would allow me to recycle from the comfort of my car, and there wasn't really anything that I found. So, me and a couple of my fellow students and friends, Eric Chen, Corey Holloway, and Aiden Rollins, decided that we we're going to try and create some sort of product to fit this need of recycling from your vehicle. And so we created our company, Evian.
Steps that they take will become a big impact in terms of environmental waste, and the Magnolia just ensures that they take those small steps to become a part of that impact.
Our product, the Magnolia, is designed for your car. It sits on the passenger side of your vehicle, and its goal is to reduce the amount of clutter recyclables that affect your car, as well as integrate new practices in your everyday life. There's two components to the Magnolia, an attachment piece and a container. The attachment piece has a strong, safe, and stored design to it. It sits between the center console and passenger seat. Its job is to help keep the container in place so it doesn't move around when you're driving, as well as that as a gap fill to catch any loose items that might fall between the center console and passenger seat. Now looking at the container has a two bin design. One bin can be used for recyclables, and another bin can be used for storage, trash, or anything like. At the front of the container is an item holder. This item holder can hold any thin items like photos, papers, or pencils. On the back of the container are hooks. Using the handle provided, you can slide the hooks into the attachment piece, forming together your Magnolia. The Magnolia can hold most traditional plastics. Single-use plastics like bottles, bags, or utensils will fit. As well as that, it has a capacity for about 5 normal-sized water bottles and about 10 aluminum cans.
So when we were looking at the current market had mostly ranged in the $10 to $20 range, had a cylindrical design to them, were mainly purposed for trash, and had a loose attachment point, which would be dangerous when driving in your car, which the Magnolia addressed in its designs.
Now, what exactly is the impact of our product? Now, recycling in theory is incredibly easy, but in practice can also be incredibly challenging. We wanted to make sure that that whole recycling process was as easy as possible. Now, a lot of the time, you don't want to have to sift through your trash and recycling to figure out what exactly is recycling and what you have to throw away. That's why we designed the two-bin system, so that way you're not contaminating your recyclables with that trash. Along with it's also washable either by the hose or by sink, so that way there's no trace contaminants of trash still left in the bin, and make sure that it's all a clean environment. Now, we ran some numbers of how exactly our product would impact the environment. So we decided, hey, what if only 5% of all college students in the US bought our product, used it for about a year, and recycled 3 water bottles per week? We found that that would be about 1,800 tons of plastic, which is also equivalent to about the weight of 6 Boeing 747 jets or the topsoil of 2 entire football fields, which is an incredible amount of plastic that we'd be saving.
And so we plan to manufacture the Magnolia through injection molding and assembly. We plan to partner with AGS Technologies, a company that uses 100% recycled materials in their injection molding process. We plan on marketing the Magnolia for around $18 at retail price, which will give us a profit of around $8, $10, which we then reinvest back into our company. For distribution, we're going to have our own website for direct-to-consumer selling, as well as partnering with online retailers such as Amazon and auto body shops to help spread our brand. For marketing, we're going to use the power of social media and the internet, partnering with social media influencers and nonprofit organizations to help spread awareness about environmental conservation, as well as the product Magnolia.
And now, what are we looking for from you? Now, from like a really small investment, we're looking for about $800, and that would give us our first 100 units to kind of get them onto shelves and into stores. And then for a stretch goal for us, we're looking for about $12,000, and this would allow us to invest into a machined aluminum mold for the injection, so that way the cost of production would go down to about $5 per unit, and that $12,000 would also let us make 2,500 units. That would really let us spread out and get our product into a lot more hands. And even with that $5 cost, we could even reduce the market price of it, so that way it would be more affordable to everyone and more people would get their hands on it. And now, even if you're not interested in investing in this today, just giving us the time to come out here and really preach to you about sustainability and recycling regularly is really important for us. You know, we have a saying here at Edion, let's build a better Eden with Edion.
While the judges are collecting their thoughts, Sean, if we may ask some questions for the people tonight, correct?
So 5% of college students, how many is that?
So it's estimated there's about 20 million college students in the U.S., so that's about 1 million people that are using it. So.
And did you do any research on level college to see what their reception was?
Okay, so the question was, did we do any research to figure out how many college students were interested with the perception of gravity? Is that correct? So I think there's a slide, according to the Pew Research Center, Gen Z and millennials are 10 to 20% more likely to be engaged in climate activism. So there's a lot of interest among younger participants and Gen Zers specifically to be really involved in climate activism, whether that's through social media or through their actual actions. And so I think that kind of is the college market, high school market, and adult market as kind of what we're targeting right now for the climate change, and specifically with fossil waste.
But, we need a prototype devices in vehicles or not?
So the question was, have we put any of the vehicles or our prototype into any vehicles and actually talk to people?
We put our prototype vehicles in most of our vehicles. We put them in all of ours, and most of us have like sedans, and most of them fit. But with like the bigger cars, sometimes we can have issues because it fits with most cars, but most cars don't have a sort of baseboard that it can fit on. With the attachment piece, it needs sort of a flat area to kind of attach to. And we put it in most of our cars.
And so like we did some testing, and so like if you just use it in everyday life, like for example in the mornings, I eat a banana pretty much every day for breakfast, and so like when we were doing some testing with one of our, we were doing some research with a community partner, and I was driving and I had a banana and I put it in my cup holder, and it was kind of getting all gross and everything. I had a plastic bottle as well, and I was just like, you know, I have the Magnolia that I can just separate these, and I can actually recycle each one, and I keep my car clean, and that's just kind of one of the examples, I guess. And so I think everyone on the stage, we all have all our personal experiences using plastic, and that is really impactful.
Question for why do you think Magnolia? Why did the competitors for the future and then the last comment would be Oliver Kurtz. Injection mold expensive, we should get lots of testing done.
Alright, I can answer the first question. The first question was where the Magnolia came from and like kind of naming convention. So with the actual company name, the Edion actually comes from the Edionella bacteria, which is a bacteria that actually breaks down plastic compounds. And so we wanted to keep with that kind of nature feel, and we kind of all decided that the Magnolia was just a really nice name. We all kind of liked it. It doesn't really have any background behind it. We just like the sound of it. Oh.
So most of the competitors that you saw on the slide were products that can be bought from Amazon, and most of them had a felt type material and had a lid, and they were cylindrical design. It was kind of more lengthwise than it was widthwise, and that would be only to store everything into a collective bin, unlike the Magnolia, where it would be able to separate it. And that's what we wanted to do, is separate ours from theirs by allowing that versatility and separation.
And the last question that Mr. Schaefer asked was about injection molding and the cost of it. Yeah, so that's definitely a good point, and that's something we'll have to do more testing with. I think we plan on wanting to 3D print it, and then after that we can kind of like finalize the design, get all the dimensions down. Currently this is laser cut with foam board, and so like we have all the dimensions, and so we probably do some more testing, and then I guess once we get a finalized design, we can then move forward with injection molding. And we probably need to talk to like an expert with someone with experience to figure out what the best way to go about doing that would be. For your question.
You talked about social media influencers being part of the
So the question was, what kind of social media influencers and people out there can help market our product? So for one example is, this is a device for your car. And so I don't know if you guys have heard of MKBHD before. He's a tech YouTuber on YouTube. He has around 10 million subscribers. He does a lot of reviews about technology and vehicles. And so he has a lot of reach. And so if he were to implement this into one of his videos with like testing a car and just kind of adding it and mentioning it, it would really reach a broad audience. As well as a lot of times it was Instagram targeted ads. There's a lot of social media influencers out there that are really focused on environmental sustainability. And if they were really interested, they could also just use this product or showcase the product, and that would kind of give it a little more reach on the different kinds of media platforms.
I don't know about y'all, but I need that for my car. All the Chick-fil-A cups need somewhere to reside. Next up, we have Sierra, Aaliyah, Jeremiah with the toy to help children with autism and their families.
Hello everyone, I'm Sierra, this is Aaliyah, and this is Jeremiah, and we are super excited to talk to you guys about QP, the Social Emotional Bear, where our motto is QP, helping create the future for you and me. So, according to RaisingChildren.net, children with autism often find it hard to recognize emotions, facial expressions, and other emotional cues such as tone of voice and body language. They also find it hard to show and manage their own emotions and understand other people's emotions. This can make it seem like they don't have empathy or they lack empathy when really they just don't know how to show it. So a little bit about us in this project. We started off asking ourselves, how could we help children with autism? And this led to us researching and finding out that a lot of times kids on the spectrum get overstimulated and overwhelmed when they have to explain how they're feeling. So this is why we created QP to kind of help that problem out. So our problem statement is, how might we help children with autism communicate their needs and emotions to adults?
This is QP, inspired by a micro:bit that we had created to help notify parents when their children is feeling the different emotions. On QP, we have 3 different buttons for mad, sad, and happy that the children can press to convey that emotion and will display on the screen. Included with QP is a manual which will provide tips and resources on what to do in the situation where the child presses the button. For example, if I press the mad button, it will display his mad on the screen. I will turn to the mad page and I will read off a tip, listen and try to understand where the anger is coming from, try physical activity, try fidget toys, and it's more tips and resources for every emotion. We have QP's biggest competitor, Moxie, coming in at around $600, which is very, very expensive. I wouldn't pay it makes children very overstimulated.
So not only was QP created to help children convey and express their emotions, but he's also here to help children calm down and to help prevent overstimulation. With QP, we not only have his expressions, but we also have solutions for these issues. QP's color is very soothing. A child can calm down with breathing to the beat of his heart, and he plays little tunes. So, unfortunately, the Moxie, while it is very innovative and cool, I don't have $600 to spend on something with bad reviews, which is why you'll see our pricing point for QP starting at $105, but we're asking for around $10,000 to get started. We would love to launch ourselves through Amazon and then move to stores locally near you. We believe strongly in giving back. So our first couple of QPs that we create, we would love to give to some of the centers that have helped us create QP as it is, like the Autism Center and Sources on Chest State. So we're really excited about that, and that's what we just would love to start to do. We strongly believe in giving back. So that's our plan. Children deserve the right to have access to the tools to help create. Children deserve the right to have access to the tools that create a better tomorrow. There are 1.6 million children in Tennessee. 1 out of 64 of those children have autism, which means there are 25,000 children that can benefit from QP. So, moving forward, when we first started our research, one thing that we noticed is that there are some very diverse needs in the autism community that we would love to meet. One of those things being, we discovered that a lot of people on the spectrum may gravitate towards a specific want or need, whether that's like, okay, astronauts or dinosaurs. We believe that customizing QP will create a really strong bond between the children learning about their emotions and a little bit of their own personality. Also moving forward, we would really love if we could create an app so that parents can track their children's emotions throughout the day and notice any trends. Another thing we would love to add is if we could create storage on QP so that children can put their like fidget toys and stuff. That's another way that they like to soothe themselves and calm down. And we know that the children are the future, and QP is going to create a better future for you. Thank you guys so much for listening. So he asked us what's the meaning behind the name QP, and can you repeat the last part? I'm sorry.
What's off the shelf and what did you have to create to make that
Okay, so QP stands for questions and problems, and that's the answer. So here's the thing: when we created QP, he is hand coded through a microbit, and it took a lot of wiring and coding to do. But pretty much what we had to do was we coded this online. It's going to display emotions here, and then through wiring that's connected to these buttons, that's kind of just like what's what's inside him. That is able to motion detect. Let me show you. The child's feeling sad. It's saying hello. I'm sorry. All right. QP. You get it, baby. Smiley face. All right. Here goes happy, right? Now, if a child's in distress, I need to calm down. A soothing alternative would be like a song. So there we go. We put in the microbit to be motion. It's motion sense, and it pretty much just works by functioning through the buttons that's connected to the microbit.
So she asked what age would QP be for, and then also what would come with it for parents. So our age target right now is ages 5 through 6, just because we did a lot of research on what kids are doing at that age, and then how kids with autism what they're doing at their age, and we learned that like the biggest problem is really getting people to understand how they feel. So that's why our target ages is 5 through 6. In the future, we would love to expand into all different ages. The second question was.
The second question was about, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just about like how the parents interact. Right. So that's a wonderful question. One thing that we love about QP, we know that like the alternatives like the Moxie, it's like a robot, it's there, that's awesome. But this manual that we plan to improve on and make a book out of it, also encourages the parents and the child to interact. Here I can show you, oh, are you feeling sad? You're showing me that? Okay, well, let's walk through that. It's building that connection between the parent and the child, because anger or sadness for me might not look the same for you. So it also creates that bond between the child and the parent. So the manual is going to come with instructions so the parent knows, what's going on. But one of our core values that we really love about our project is the fact that it's going to build connections. Did that answer the question?
The biggest way that we would make money on the product would be, we would love to start off on Amazon. With our sales, it takes $105 to make QP, and so we would, so.
Another thing, when I talked about giving back to the community, we had like a lot of amazing sponsors through this, and our priority is like giving back. With working with them, we thought that donating is not only good for them, but good for us, because if their child comes to the speech therapist or developmental center and sees how well their child works with QP, oh, I would love to buy this so that my child can go to school and express their emotions all the time. So that's one of the main ways that we plan to market. We also would love to market through social media and, like my partner said, Amazon, but we just really think that it's important locally to get started there.
Storage and having that as help you identify patterns. Are there any issues with that?
Can you repeat the HIP part?
The medical regulations that deal with what sort of data has to be protected.
We have not thought about that so far. Moving forward in the future, we would definitely take into consideration those type of rules and regulations. We would never want to violate anyone's rights. We would also definitely make the app really private. It would be really something for parents and just to, learn about QP, not only QP, but really track their children's progress. In the future, we would love to make QP more customizable in the aspect of health. So we could incorporate, health into the bear. If the child has special needs, we can incorporate that into him. So that's really something we should think about.
We also had another competitor. It was called the Big Pineapple Fillings, and it was for like ages like 2 or 3. It's basically like a Mr. Potato Head where you just like put the different emotions on the pineapple, but we just feel that QP is better. Purchase him.
Wow, that's a really cool invention. Now we have Alvin, TJ, Hayden, and Tyler to show us their take on helping kids with writing skills.
Hello, we are Disc Products, and today we are going to present to you the Disc Board. If you would for a moment, imagine yourself as a student in a class writing an essay. You're taking a lot of time writing this essay, compiling information, and researching your topic, all for your final product to just look like this. The words that you see on screen were written by a student with dysgraphia. This student is me. I've had dysgraphia my entire life and it's a constant daily struggle for me. Dysgraphia affects the movement of your hand where it causes pain when writing, as well as your understanding of concept of spacing with words and letters. Dysgraphia often goes unrecognized and undiagnosed, and most of the time is misunderstood as a student being lazy or sometimes a moron. But this isn't the case at all. It's because of this condition, and because of this condition, in the future they may even be denied a job.
We have identified two main issues that students with dysgraphia face: letter sizing and word spacing. To combat these problems, we have created the DisPen. The DisPen is a writing attachment that you just slide onto any writing utensil. It contains a 3-volt battery that connects to an LED that projects a guide light onto a piece of paper. Let me show you how it works. As you can see, the light is being projected through like a stencil. This stencil creates an image on a piece of paper that measures the distance so students can keep their words aligned and straight. As you can see, even though the attachment is on the pencil, I can still grip it comfortably. Here's a picture of our product. As you can see, it displays the light onto the piece of the table that reflects, and you can see it. The student can use this to measure, and in the future we hope to get a brighter light so the student can see the projection more clearly.
Okay, so as you may notice, the stencil is just a backwards E, and this was intentional. And as we also mentioned earlier, this will be to project a light pattern that will be helpful in spacing and sizing letters. And so the backwards E will do this by utilizing the 3 horizontal lines in the E to, like I said, help with that sizing and spacing. So if you see in the image over here, you would line up the middle line of the middle horizontal line of the E up to the last letter of the last word that you wrote, and then once you do that, your pencil will be in a position to begin, or in a good position to start the next word. As you are writing, the top and bottom lines will help you see when you're going too far off the boundary lines. So that way you will end up with sentences that look more like this compared to sentences that look like this. Sentences that look like this. Okay.
Okay, so business assignments and competition. With newer technology coming out, like newer phones, newer laptops, things like on-screen keyboards are becoming way more common. It helps students with dysgraphia as they're not using their hands as much. And we also, another thing is voice dictation software. We all know that Siri, Alexa, Google. We all use this, and it takes what we say and puts it into virtual text. Another thing that is helpful is proofreading programs on Google Documents and physical word spacing tools. It helps students with dysgraphia as, again, not using their hands.
Okay, so besides these, there are not many products for children with dysgraphia. As you may have noticed, many of these tools are for virtual writing, while our product is for physical writing. So we love virtual writing and all its benefits. It's faster, it's easier, and it's also very convenient to share our text or virtual text in the virtual world. However, there are benefits to physically writing something as well. Some of these benefits include increased literacy, reading comprehension, memory recall, critical thinking and development, and creativity. Physical writing is also very important in teaching children various literacy concepts. Okay, so on to the business elements, profits and costs. So we have a $2,100 startup cost. That is just $400 for a table, $1,600 for fabrication equipment, and another $100 for tables and storage. We also have a fixed $250 monthly budget. That's just $150 for website maintenance, another $100 for advertisement. The advertisement is split into 2 subcategories. One of them being YouTube, which is primarily for the parent, YouTube ads, which is primarily for the teachers, and then also paid search ads, which are primarily for the parents of children with dysgraphia. We also have a $9 unit cost, and that is because the cost to produce one DisPen is $4, and then the price to ship one DisPen is around $5. Okay, so just to recap, we have dictation software, which is great for virtual writing. We have the physical spacing tool, which is great for physical writing, and then but the physical spacing tool, while it is great for physically writing, it does take up room on the paper, so it is a burden to use and a hassle to work around. Also, because it is brittle, it is also easily broken. On the other hand, our product, the DisPen, performs the same functions as the physical spacing tool without having to take up a room on the paper. Not only does it help with spacing, but also helps keeping your letters, words and letters consistently sized as well. So for these reasons, we know that the disc pen will work well in its current market. Thank you for listening to this product pitched by Disc Products.
Yeah, so the question was how big of a market was it? And around 8 to 10% of the entire world population has dysgraphia, and it just goes unrecognized.
So like we mentioned in the slides, we have two types of ways that we want to market this. The first one is through YouTube. That's just ads for teachers because we feel that YouTube can target that audience specifically. It's a very broad audience. And then we had paid search ads for parents of children with dysgraphia. And so when parents are looking up ways to help their child with this condition, then the paid search ads will be there to show them our product. That'll just be like a very simple like image, basic functions, price points and such. And then for the YouTube ad, we could create our own commercial. Does not have to be like the highest quality, but we can make something that just shows off the functions that of our product, and then the teachers could spread that to parents who have come to them about their children's condition. Okay.
One question, one comment. What is it that you make that's the cost $4? And then you talked about it's $5 shipping with some tax systems like that. So what about them?
Okay, so the question was, what is all the materials that go into the cost of the $4 for our cost of our disc pen, and then the second one was about shipping or the high price of shipping our. Oh yeah. Okay, so for the price of our product, it is just for the filament to 3D print. Our tool is a very small tool. It is just like it is just very small too. So it doesn't take long to 3D print, and it is just an LED, some wires, a 3-volt battery, and then a battery pack as well. So it's not a very high cost for it. That is just like reasonably upsized. Like like the unit price for that is very much likely much lower than $4. We were just rounding up just in case something happens along the way, losing materials, such and such. So that's what goes into the $4 price. As for the shipping price, we are using, so if we go to the thing, we are using Sendle at the bottom there. It is, all the way in the bottom right. Sendle they are eco-friendly, so everything that they do ship, they're not producing anything harmful to the environment, such as like CO2 emissions and such like that as they are transporting. And the way that they price their cost for shipping is by the weight of the package. So our weight is not that much at all, as you can tell, but it is, I guess it does cost a lot to be that eco-friendly for their, when they're shipping it. So if we do increase the weight, like if you have 2 products, it would just be double that, and so on and so forth. So I hope that answers the question with the shipping details.
That's direct to consumer.
Yeah, so like from.
For shipping, so what you would pay would have to be shipped to your house. It's not full shipping.
Yes.
Thank you, Disc Products.
That's really impressive and can really help people out. Great job, guys. Next up, we have Mary Alice, Zensuela, and Janae with a bracelet that contacts a loved one when you're in danger.
I'm Mary Alice Brewer.
I'm Janae Hubbard.
And I'm Ziswelly Eberhart, and this is Bloom.
81% of women and 43% of men will report being assaulted in their lifetime. 1 in 5 women will report being raped. And 1 in 4 women will report being assaulted during undergraduate school. Every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. I think this shows how pervasive it is in our culture, and all 3 of us have experienced some form of assault, harassment, or catcalling, especially being on Chat State campus.
So this is why we created Bloom. This is a picture of our bracelet prototype. It'll be made of silicone, so it'll be bendable and non-breakable. In the future, you'll also be able to customize it. We also created a panic button. Basically, once you trigger or press the button, it'll notify one of your loved ones. It'll send an email letting them know that you're unsafe. Here's a quick video. As you can see in this video, in under 5 seconds after the button was pushed, we received an email letting us know that that someone is unsafe.
Our #1 priority as a company is response time. We're looking to take a more proactive approach towards assault rather than reactive, making sure it doesn't happen at all rather than dealing with the consequences of it.
Our first competitor is Rain. Rain got rated 1 out of 5 stars on Amazon simply because it doesn't work. Our next competitor is She's a Birdie. She's a Birdie got rated 2 out of 5 stars on Amazon because it's fragile and is not loud enough. Bloom beats our competitors out of 2 of 3 features, our #1 being discreet look. When speaking to our community partner, UTC Survivor Advocacy, they said if your predator knows that you're asking for help, it could possibly put you in more danger.
So we're asking for $25,000 for the starting investment. $10,000 of this will go towards scaling down our design and getting it into the bracelet. $7,000 of this will go towards distribution, getting it into the hands of our target audience. Right now, our target audience is college-aged women because they are the most at risk. $5,000 of this will go towards additional fees and then worker compensation. And then the last $3,000 will go towards marketing. We plan to do this through Instagram. So the cost of production is $33.17, but we will be selling Bloom for $43.12. This is a 30% profit margin, and we will have to sell 2,513 of our alarms to break even. We plan to sell about 75 per month, and we can break even by 2024 with these projected numbers.
With Amazon being the #1 online shopping app, we plan to sell Bloom with discreet shipping nationwide.
Since our target audience is women in college, we plan on selling Bloom in college gift shops. We've already connected with organizations such as UTC Survivor Advocacy Services, so they'll be able to help support us in selling our product. Response time and accuracy are our top priority, and that's what sets us apart from our competitors. So we plan on adding a GPS to Bloom in the future.
After we add the GPS, we want to start working on the Bloom app. This will provide specialized therapy to victims to get the help that they need while also having the option to remain anonymous. It will connect victims with other victims who have experienced the same thing. As our community partners stress the feeling of isolation from victims, this would help connection and open a line of communication. Our next step is educating those who might not be victims but would like to learn more about sexual assault, and changing the stigma around assault, making it less of a taboo topic and making people feel okay in talking about it. And then, of course, our #1 priority is providing a safe space for victims.
And here you have Bloom. Thank you.
So where are you planning to manufacture? Is this something that you're going to manufacture overseas, or are you
Okay, so the question was our manufacturing plan. That is all very much in the works right now. It's very dependent on how the design scaling down goes, and then we would go from there in deciding how we are going to manufacture and where that'll happen.
It's definitely probably congratulations on the meaningful work that you're doing here. Can you elaborate more on the response time? You send an email in a short time, but how does that, the person designates who it goes to, who does the email go to?
So the question was.
Elaborate on how the response works.
So.
Email to someone, a parent, a friend, police, who gets the response?
It'll not the person who gets with the response is someone it's like one of your family members, one of your loved ones, someone that you know and trust. The response time, it will hopefully be quick. You saw in the video it was under 5 seconds, so that was quick. Yeah, okay.
I could add on some stuff if you don't mind. So with the GPS, that's really where our response time is going to come into play, because knowing like where that person is and where the attack is happening, because the contact will be chosen by the owner, it could be preset to the police if that is what the person chooses to do. They by all means have the right, but they can also just choose a friend or family member, so that that family member can get in contact with them and find out what the situation is. So yeah.
The question was, why did we choose email? Actually, we went through like 15 different codes to get a text message, and we're still working on getting the email to send a text message. So we're still in the works of doing that part. But in the future, we're going to have where the email notifies a text message through an app called IFTT. Yes, ma'am.
And then the other question, you had an interesting price point of $43.12. And so why did you choose that?
So we started with our just cost of production, which is the $33.17, and then we decided amongst ourselves that we wanted the 30% profit margin, and that's the number we all agreed on. We were like, good to go, and that was $43.12. So we were like, perfect. That sounds like a great price.
You might just want it from a pure marketing perspective. You might just want to think about that number. You know, is $39.99 better, or
Yeah.
is 45 better? It's a little tough to try to figure out where that fits in with, when you're looking at it. It's a hard number to comprehend. So
Yeah.
that would just be one way to comprehend.
For sure.
Why did you choose the bracelet over the app?
Why did we choose a bracelet over the app? The question is, we want to do the app at first, but we want to have you know what? I really don't know, because we wanted to do the app at first. So we wanted. Let me think. You can answer it.
Yeah. Okay. Or Janae, do you wanna? I could. Okay. So yeah, like Suela was saying, we did start with the idea of the app, but looking at it as a semester-long project and us being seniors in high school, we were like, that is a very big task, and I don't know if that's an achievable goal to set for ourselves. So then we decided to look more at instead of dealing with the after effects and therapy and everything for these victims, how to actually make the assault stop happening, because we decided that was probably a bigger issue than giving them therapy, was just making it not happen at all. So that's when we moved on to the alarm idea.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bloom.
Thank you guys so much. That was great. Finally, for our last group, we have Haley, Alex, Delaney, and Taylor. They're helping people with limited upper body movement.
My name is Alex Mangan.
I'm Taylor Rickman.
I'm Delaney Dempsey. And I'm Haley Lewis. Geek City Enhancements proudly presents the Myoelectric Reacher. Our group decided to completely change our project after deeply emphasizing with a woman named Casey, who got into an accident and became wheelchair bound. On top of this, she lost most hand mobility, which prevents her from gripping objects. Casey enjoys traveling and spending time in nature, and she wants others to live life to the fullest like she does. But one of the most important things for her is her independence. When going shopping, it's difficult for her to reach and grab objects independently. So each person has their limits, and we don't think much about the difficulties of everyday tasks such as picking up a pencil or getting dressed. So we decided to use our tools and skills to develop something that will improve the life and independence of others.
So we asked ourselves the question, how might we help people with limited upper body movement increase mobility in order to improve independence?
And this is the solution, the myoelectric reacher. It uses a myoelectric or muscle sensor to read the flexing of the muscle and turn it into data for the Arduino, which is essentially the mind or the motherboard of the system. That's then sent to the servo motor, which is a special type of motor that can turn 180 degrees, to open and close the head of the grabber. The head of the grabber is wide, so you need little precision to use it. Attached to that is the telescoping rod. That's two plastic dowels of different diameters that can slide between each other to extend and retract at will. And at the very top of the system, you'll see an elastic band to keep the whole system on comfortably and securely. Now, this is our product in use. On the left, you can see the device opening and closing with the servo motor, and on the right, or I'm sorry, I think I have that backwards, but you can see the muscle flexing to turn the servo motor. This is what we could do with this amazing technology in only 3 weeks. Imagine what we could do with 3 months.
People with limited mobility don't want to be pitied or thought of as lesser because they experience a lack of independence. So we created a product that is compact and lightweight to help in a major aspect of life. Our biggest competitors are 1, the reach extender, which is controlled by the user's hand movements with a target audience of people who have mobility but they have difficulty reaching objects, with a market price of around $20 to $40. And also prosthetics, which are just expensive limbs for amputees, with a market price of around $8,000 to $10,000. The myoelectric reacher, however, is unlike anything on the market right now because it combines the best aspects of both the reach extender and prosthetics. Now, there's no in-between for someone like Casey in our case because she's unable to use the reach extender due to her limited mobility in her hands. She's not able to grab things. And then prosthetics are just unnecessary for her situation.
So the best way we can sell and advertise our product is by reaching out to organizations in contact with the limited mobility community, such as doctors and physical therapists. However, after discussing with an angel investor, Mr. Schaefer here, we learned that insurance companies can shut down products that are deemed too expensive or unnecessary. So another option we have is Amazon, as it has many users and our product is more likely to be found. However, Amazon takes a cut of sales, meaning we'd have to raise our prices.
And as for prices, we're looking at $60 to $120 to produce. With a profit margin of 75 to 100%, we're looking at a consumer price point of $105 to $240. That's due to initial costs such as labor or distribution, but also 3D printers and the filament. But this price point is still keeping us 80 times cheaper than a prosthetic.
Thank you for listening, and remember, the myoelectric reacher, mobility redefined.
So the question was, what is the status of the prototype? So our prototype, the images that you saw, actually, they aren't that old, but the prototype is really fragile. It's not waterproof, weatherproof. Anything could really damage it right now at the state that it's in. So it works, but it's just too fragile to take out of a closed environment.
So the question is, was it just pretty much who all could use the prototype? But the finished product. So right now, our target audience is mostly people that have limited upper body movement, and even more specifically, wheelchair-bound people. We found out from a teacher of ours that she is very close friends with the girl named Casey that we interviewed for this, and she's wheelchair-bound, but also she can't squeeze her hands. So when she needs to grab an object off the ground, she can't use a reach extender because she can't squeeze the lever on it. So that's when we decided that we should make something for other people that are wheelchair bound, just like her, that can't reach stuff on their own just because they can't use the products that are already out there. But we haven't continued our market to other people. That's just more specifically what we are marketing towards.
Hi, on top of this, we are planning on baking it for most ages. So probably anywhere from 12 to 90. Just to give you a vague range. But yeah, since we're able to extend the reacher, it gives more people an opportunity, especially like if you're shorter or if you're taller, that anyone is able to reach an object that they usually can't without it.
I'm sorry, and building on top of that, another time, I'm the technical numbers person of this whole thing. So when it's condensed, it's only about a foot long. Extended, it's about 2.5 feet long. So the only limiting thing, I know you're asking like children, stuff like that. The only limiting thing for that would be the diameter of the band, which could very easily be changed.
So what's the cost driver for this?
Again, I do all the numbers. So the cost driver is the sensor. So the reason that we have that broad $60 to $120 to produce is because of the sensor. The sensor has changed price on us. So it ranged from $40 to $60. So just depending on how much that sensor costs, but that is the most expensive part of this.
And what does it take to put one together?
Sorry, I'm supposed to be repeating questions. So what does it take to put it together? It's not too terribly difficult. It was the process of getting all the coding done. So it's a sensor that sits about here on your arm, and then that's wired into a coded Arduino, and then that has wires that lead to a servo motor, and then at that point it's cables or rope connecting the head to the servo motor, then to the actual arm, and the arm, it has a stopper on it so it can't pass through each other and break. So it's stitching, gluing, whatever.
And one final question, what's the size of the market?
I know, I keep coming up here. So we actually did some research on that. It's about 13% of Americans are wheelchair bound. So that's 38 million people just in the United States that could very easily take advantage of this.
Yes, so have you examined the medical device classifications? I know the reacher isn't, and the prosthetic probably is. So how do you navigate between the medical class 1, class 2 medical devices?
So we actually didn't go really in depth with the medical field itself. The reason I mentioned your name is that when you came to the STEM school, we asked you about our product because we were unsure how we should market this, because is it a medical device, is it an everyday item? So that's when we discussed with you, but we didn't go into depth of the different classes, so we would have to do that when continuing this product.
Thank you, Big City.
Wow, those are some really cool inventions. I mean, if those are on Amazon right now, I'd buy one. Now we're going to have a 10-minute deliberation for our judges. Now, you should see on the screen to your left a QR code to a form that you can pick your favorites and rank them. At the bottom, there's a place for feedback, and we would love to hear it. Everybody has one vote. Who will you pick? Thank you.
All righty, folks. All righty. You know, I'm usually really respectful of people's time, so I owe you guys at least 4 minutes of your life. But first of all, can we start by giving a round of applause to all the groups that presented today? They did a phenomenal job. Like I said, elevation. It's only elevation. And I have nothing but great things to say about every single student that you saw on this stage today. So, without further, beforehand, I just wanted to give another shout out. So, first place prize today is, first and second place prizes have been brought to us by two of our sponsors, the Public Education Foundation and Top Flight Incorporated. Both of those have contributed either a physical product or money in order for the prizes. So we've got, as our first place prize, we've got a set of Bose earbuds and Visa gift cards. In the second place prize, it will be a smart tool that they will be able to use from this point on in helping them in their new business ventures, as well as Visa gift cards. And then the third place, y'all's favorite, will be gift cards to a restaurant of their choosing. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to Jay. He's gonna announce our first two, and I'll do the third.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And the 4 minutes is because us, Kyle, Libby, and I didn't know that you were going to make us work so hard. This was really tough. We had 5 number ones here. It was really hard to pick between all the companies here. But the one thing that we did come up with is we were just amazed by the quality of the presentations and all the different teams. So we're going to do number 2 first, and it is Bloom. The Mary Alice and Suela and Janaea. They come up here. So, congrats. One of the things that we rated on was empathy of the problem, and you all did a great job with that. We know that you're experiencing it. You've reached out to other people. We figured as the judges that you may not have figured out the app or the bracelet or whatever, but because this is something that you're living with, that you'll figure it out. Okay, so congratulations. Yep. And then keeping in that same theme, one of the things that we were just impressed with, the number 1 team is Dispin. So Disc Products. So Alvin, TJ, Tyler, and Hayden. One of the things, I work with a lot of startup companies, and the founders that experience the problem, there's a theme here. So is this Hayden? Yes. So you experience the problem on a regular basis. You know what to do for this. We thought that your presentation was top-notch in terms of the cost and things like that. We think that you'll figure out to sell the $4 thing you can put in the mail, so you don't have to spend $5 to ship it to people, or you can sell it in packs and things like that. But just the teamwork, it seems like of the groups that you all had pretty well worked together and distributed the workload among you all, and we were impressed by that, so that stood out with the judges. So again, it was really hard to pick 2 top companies, but congratulations to Bloom and to Disc Products.
All right, and that leaves our audience favorite. We have heard from the audience. You have spoken loudly, and your favorite company is, drum roll, Ideon Technologies. Ideon Technologies, please make your way to the stage. Ellie, will you get my phone and take a pic? All right, gentlemen, here is your certificate for today. Thank you, gentlemen. Can we get one more round of applause for all of the groups? All of the groups. Like I said, this is my first inaugural year with Inventanooga and Sim4, and I am nothing but pleased. You guys, those of you watching at home and those of you here, these are the next generation. These are people that's going to lead us into the future, and I have very high hopes for our future with you guys leading it. So thank you all. Could you guys get together in that, in between the STEM signs? I want to get a pic. Parents, if you want to come get a pic, come on. Don't be shy. All right. Smile. All right, we're good. All right, thank you guys. If you guys can find your seats, I would like to close this out, I'd like to open up the stage and open mic to Dr. Donan. He is the STEM principal, the man behind the scenes. I know he has done a lot of great work with helping me get Inventanooga off the ground running. So I have nothing but high praise for and gratitude for Dr. Donan. So without further ado, he's going to close us out. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's just say thank you to a couple folks. First off, plenty of parents here today. Guys, you want a little round of applause for your parents for getting you all here. And then, of course, we have our judges today, Libby, Jay, and Kirk. Thank you so much. I don't envy you at all. Having to make those choices. It was hard enough picking the top teams, let alone picking the top of the top. But thank you all. If we can give our judges a round of applause as well. We were talking back, Mr. McCoy, Ms. Brockbank, myself, were like, man, if only we had kept some of the videos we had when you guys presented as ninth graders. And we were like, man, we wish we put up. They would look a little bit like this, just so you know. They look a little bit like this. Look at the audience. All right. Yeah. Or a little bit like this. Okay. I think I'm going to talk about something here today. Or a little bit like, hey, y'all, how you doing? I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. Like, some of you literally got up there just talked in front of your peers, just no preparation whatsoever. Meanwhile, when I saw you beginning here, I remember walking by Gresham here earlier this morning, and she was literally reciting word for word the presentation she was going to. Somebody else said you were talking to yourself, but we knew you were just reciting what you were going to be presenting today. So y'all did an amazing job. It's my favorite event because it's a culmination of where you came from and where you're going to. Think about it this way. In 9th, 10th, 11th grade, right, somebody always told you what to do. Like, here's the problem, right? Here's the thing we want you to help solve. And you got to the point where you're like, stop telling me how to solve problems. Stop telling me the problems that matter. Like, I want to pick the problems that matter. So you got to the point, like, you're ready to go from here on to actually solve problems that matter outside in this world. So I'm really excited to see what you guys end up doing next. We have a last person to thank before we end. Can we give it up for Mr. Carrasco again? All right. All right. All right. Amazing job. Just super excited. I think he's connect real well with you all, and we're really glad to have him as part of our STEM team. So on that note, I just want to say thank you for coming, and have a great rest of the afternoon.